there's a bit of a report from the census last year. Auckland has now got 1.65 million people. Well, that was a year ago actually. 220 plus ethnicities. So a little bit interesting on that score if you're trying to do anything and expect people to speak English. A bit of a trick there. Oh, the whitebait season is open here in New Zealand. Some of you who have not been to New Zealand before won't know what whitebait is. It's a very, very tiny little fish, about what, 2 or 3 millimeters diameter, about about 2.5 inches. We're reverting to the old school, 2.5 inches long, says David. Yep, you'll know what that is. There has been quite a lot of calls for stopping commercial whitebaiting because 4 of the 5 genus types are endangered. But anyway, there hasn't been too big a hauls at this stage. So it's a sort of a blend. They put it into patties and things, mix it with a bit of egg and make a patty out of it. Sort of a delicacy. It's very delicate actually. You don't really like
it. It's so delicate, it's tasteless.
David says it's so delicate, it's tasteless. All right. Still in New Zealand, a new law has been passed that bans overseas buyers from buying homes in New Zealand. This particularly affects Auckland, where a lot of Asian wealthy people have been buying homes, not actually living in them, but just keeping them as a something for the future and an investment because prices were just going berserk. They have now actually stopped going up in Auckland and have dropped about 0.5% in the last quarter. But anyway, people that are not residents in New Zealand will now no longer be able to buy a home. So in case you've got $1 million or whatever in the back berth there somewhere, expecting to buy a home in New Zealand, you'll just have to get your residency. Okay. Oh, an interesting picture from Dunedin, way down in Dunedin. There was a Samoan tourist wandering by on the coastline. He was on land and he caught 2 octopus. Is that octopi? Anyway, he caught 2 octopus in the Samoan way by clapping near the surface. And evidently this causes a vibration in the water which attracts the octopus. And the pictures in the paper actually show him plucking them from the water. Evidently, they're very, very numerous down in Dunedin. You probably would only get them from land because it's too damn cold down there to get in the water to get them. But anyway, it's quite a novel way of catching octopus. So there you are. If you're in the dinghy and you see one swimming, just turn everything off and tap the water and throw it in the dinghy. Now, what else is there? You're probably missing news about Mr. Trump because usually there is always something exciting coming from him, but it's been exceptionally boring. And when I went on to CNN today, he didn't even feature in the first 3 pages of the CNN news. It's actually incredibly boring. The economy is booming, the dollar is strong, unemployment has dropped, business confidence is high. There's absolutely nothing to complain about. So no, I'm talking about
the American
US
dollar.
Yeah. If you pay attention.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, there's nothing much happening from over there. I had actually had a really interesting trip last night. The radio club, our radio club, and the astrophysics or astronomy club sort of joined together, and we went up to look at the radio telescopes. Those of you that have been to New Zealand before or are New Zealanders know that as you travel between Auckland and Whangarei, in fact just south of Warkworth, there is, in fact it's in the Dome Valley, there's huge telescopes and you'll see them on the eastern side of the road. And we went up last night to have a look at them and hear what's going on up there. A lot of the work, of course, is in the astrophysics area, all the black holes and stuff like that astrophysics people get excited about. But one of the interesting things was sort of a new field to me. It's called geodesy. And all of these telescopes, radio telescopes, we're talking about operating in the sort of the 2 to 8.5 gigahertz area. they're all linked together because that's where the benefit of radio telescopy is. So we've got the one at Warkworth, which is in a 200-hectare sort of a valley that's quite protected from noise. It was actually well, it still is owned, in fact, by what was the post office and then became Telecom and Spark, where their satellite communications are. But we've got this one here. There's quite a few in Australia. A very big one in Perth, outside of Perth. In fact, that's where all the terabytes of data get sent for analysis. There's one just outside of Johannesburg, and then the rest are in the north. Oh no, so there's Chile as well, and then in the northern hemisphere. But they link together and work together on various projects. But one of the interesting things I found out last night was if you take, say, 3 of these telescopes, and at the very same time, we're talking about precisely the same time, each of them, in fact, the one at Warkworth here has a hydrogen clock. You've probably heard about the cesium clocks that set our world time, but the hydrogen clock is actually more accurate for the short-term type stuff, minutes and hours. The cesium clock is used for sort of millennia, but the hydrogen clock is accurate to 10/1000th of a second, which is pretty accurate. So if you all sort of focus on some point in the upper atmosphere, you can, in space we're talking about, then you can look at very tiny movements of the Earth's plates. So you can really have a look at what's going on. And it turns out that our North Island here is moving away from the South Island about 10 centimetres a year. We're heading north, which is quite exciting for Gulf Harbour Radio, because in about 2 million years' time, we'll be able to just look out the window and tell you what the weather is like in the South Pacific. So that was quite interesting. Of course, you wouldn't be able to go to the South Island for a holiday, it'd be a bit far away. But yeah, there's some very, very interesting work going on up there. Many of there's not a huge group of researchers, and they all had very Russian-sounding names, except for a couple of them. But very, very fascinating work up there at the radio telescopes. It's actually all run by the Auckland University of Technology, AUT, and so some fascinating work going on up there with the radio telegraphs. I better stop talking, actually. I'll just have a quick look in case there's anything come through. Whoops. No, I just saw there. Oh, drizzle and rain from northeastern Fiji. Thank you from Mesa Troy. Good morning, Diego and Marina. And not a very good signal on the radio again this morning. Lots of QRM from some Far East stations. Well, that's interesting. I guess, there's been some very strange propagation lately. We're all getting a bit fed up with it. So we'll hopefully, by the time passage time comes along in September, October, November, that things might improve. Wishful thinking, I suspect, but anyway, we'll hope that that's going to get better. All right, is there anybody wanting anything before we start the weather? Not sure if I heard anybody there or not, but what I will do is we'll start the weather, and then we might be able to pick things up afterwards, although I suspect we are looking at, because I talked to Toranui quite well before we started, and suspect that higher frequencies are needed again today, looking at the propagation, but we'll box on. Here's the weatherman.
All right, good morning, and thank you again for sending us your reports. They really are valuable to me. We've seen a little bit of slackness on the YIT site. People phoning in their weather reports. Not too many of them are coming in, but those of you that have done it recently, I do appreciate it, because I can confirm that with what I'm looking at, see if there's any accuracy here. So here we go with the 500 millibar chart this morning. Our New Zealand shortwave trough has shifted a little bit to the east, slightly left leaning as it has been, while our upper ridge is moving pretty much over New Zealand. Now the next shortwave trough is in the mid-Tasman, so that's moved slightly as well. So the surface map looks like this. The first shortwave, upper shortwave trough, moves the depression with it. This is our New Zealand depression. It's now a complex depression. And again, that means a depression that's got more than one center. This one's got three. And I count four troughs that are extending north. One is just about over Minerva Reef, and another one is just behind that. And behind that is another one that's coming on as well. So they're all tracking toward the north. Now the upper ridge is moving our surface high that we talked about yesterday. It's now just south of New Caledonia. The central pressure is only 1021, 1021 millibar. Now the second shortwave trough continues to support that monster depression that we talked about yesterday. That's south of New Zealand. Don't get nervous, south of New Zealand. But it has gotten worse. The pressure now is 960 millibar, 960. This is a very mean one. Plus it's sending, I would say 4 or 5 frontal bands north into the Tasman. So it's going to be pretty rough and nasty in the Tasman. The swells give you an idea. They're moving north too. They are 6 to 9 meters. 6 to 9 meters. Now, as mentioned yesterday, that high south of New Cal is going to spread out starting about now, certainly Friday and into Saturday. And it's going to spread out into like a long cigar-shaped appendage, if you will, between 25 south and 20 south. Now, the barometric pressure within this is going to be in the neighborhood of 1017, 1017. So winds in this zone, as you can guess, are going to be pretty light and variable, and that's just what they're forecast to be within that area. Now, the long-range view at this point, I would say, is around Monday. This coming Monday, we'll find a low in the Tasman and another one just about over New Zealand. Now, this low is going to be sending a cold front to New Caledonia, probably reaching Vanuatu on Tuesday, early on Tuesday, I think, and then possibly very late on Tuesday or early Wednesday, it may reach Fiji. Now, that's long term as far as operational forecasting goes. So we'll have to see if that really happens, but beware. Okay, let's take a quick look at the tropics. Our old trough over the Solomons still in place, and that runs to Vanuatu, and then it goes to southern Fiji, where we've had reports there of cloud and some drizzle, and on to Tonga. And we have another trough that runs from Tuvalu, it goes across Wallis, and on to near Niue. And lastly, the good old Northern Cooks are entertaining a reasonably active trough as well. So up in the deep tropics, we continue to have a fair amount of activity. So looking at Tonga now, New Potatoes, Nui Tuputapu, has a trough. So it's pretty wet up there. Now, conditions were calm this morning, but I would expect squally conditions from time to time today. The main Tongan islands have plenty of cloud this morning with scattered showers. This is looking at satellite imagery, and there are cooler temperatures in the evening. And I would say about the same sort of weather tomorrow. All the reporting sites this morning are cloudy with fairly light air south to southeast, and they're probably 5 to 10 knot range there. Now check your barometers if you want. Vaval this morning 1014, the Hapai is 1016, and New Potatoes 1015. Now Fiji on satellite imagery shows plenty of cloud from our extended trough, so expect cloudy periods today and scattered showers. The cloudy periods, they may hang around for a few days. Yes, we'll have sun breaks as well. In fact, there may be some areas that are very sunny, but there is still going to be cloud about. The atmospheric conditions are such to maintain this sort of thing. But like I said, conditions are right for this cloud, and by Tuesday, we may see that active front, the Monday-Tuesday time frame, rolling in from New Zealand. I see winds today around lunchtime, southeast about 15 to 20. They may be favoring 20 in the northern half of Fiji. Friday, I'd say east-southeast 15 to 20. A little bit of a shift in direction and some variation in the wind speed there. Vanuatu's northern bits are under the active trough extending from the Solomons. However, Port Vila, looking at imagery, it only looks like scattered cloud there. And there are fewer clouds yet from Iramango all the way down to Anisham. So we may see some showers in the northern areas and partly cloudy conditions to the south. The seas are up a bit. They're forecast to be about 2 meters in open waters. And we'll take a look at the winds. I'd say east-southeast, getting up to about 20 from Port Vila to the banks, but around 15 knots south of there. And we'll have lighter air tomorrow. New Caledonia shows broken cloud moving in from the southeast. The winds are mostly easterlies around 10 knots. A fair amount of sun is evident, peeking through all of this. The afternoon, mostly sunny, I think, but the wind will probably pick up to about 15, 18 in the southern lagoon. We may even see a little bit of northeast for Ile de Pan. And on Friday, I think lighter conditions, light and variable. In fact, light air for a few days, I think. So pretty good conditions for the lagoon to do your exploring. So not bad in New Cal. All right, that's pretty much is the general picture. If you have specific questions, come now. And here's the chief.
Okay, I'll do a call, and what I would quite like to do, given this report of noise, our 8752 is quite high in the 8 megahertz area, and it's getting close to broadcast bands from Asia. I wouldn't mind just moving to 82987 after we finish and see whether that's any clearer for you up there. Anyway, first of all, we'll do a finish up here. Is there anybody with any questions or comments? Please call.
Ocean fever.
Well, good morning to Ocean Fever. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you listen to my radio, and you come up to 5 and 5. You started at 3 by 3. So just ride along. Thank you for being there. Ocean Fever, awesome listening.
Oh, well, thank you for that report. Whereabouts are you at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Laval, Anchorage 16, along with iCandy. Over.
Oh, okay. All right, Anchorage 16, and you are coming in 5 and 5 too, so that's interesting. Maybe we don't need to do this experiment at all, but I will go there just in case the Fiji people have got the problems. But no, excellent signal from you, so thank you for that. Appreciate it, because we haven't heard much from Tonga. Anybody else? Good morning, Harry. Go ahead. Malua, go ahead. I don't know that. Did David say anything about the outlook for getting from New Caledonia and Port Vila down to Australia? I don't think he did. But go ahead, Harry. Well, it might not have been Harry. The station that just called. Go ahead. Well, whoever it was, we've lost you. I heard what did sound like Malua, but it could have been something else. So I've lost you at the moment. All right. Is there anybody else before I just move to 82907 to see if there is any improvement for the Fiji listeners? Last call. Any relays? Oh, good morning, Trevor. Go ahead.
Yeah, Malua, I heard the call.
Well, that's interesting, because normally he booms in. In fact, the first call was quite strong. Malua, go ahead.
You crystal clear in New Caledonia.
Oh, thank you for that. Seemed to lose you there for a minute. So, crystal clear in New Caledonia. And Willamie are waiting to come and visit you there. We'll wait and see. Does David have any updates on getting from one place to the other at this point, or are you going to hold off for a few days?
Where? I'll get it.
Yep. Hang on. They're going to, I just told you, they're going to Australia.
Next week?
Yeah, next week, not good, he says, so we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, folks, we will now move to 8297. The net is closed. We leave this one for you guys on 8752, and we'll be back on 8752 tomorrow morning. Have a good day up there. And I am now moving to 8297. Just give me a minute because I have to change the antenna. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, and I'm now on 8297. If anybody has moved with me, please give me a call. I've got Obsession. Good morning to you guys. Are you still up in Albert Cove? Over? So I am clearer on this one, 8297. So that's interesting. I'm going to have to think about what to do there. Thank you for that. And have you been doing any diving on the reef? Over? Oh, roger that. All righty. Thanks, Lisa. Enjoy. And is there anybody else to give me a report? Yeah, good morning again, Graham. How's it with you? Oh, thank you for that. About the same down there in Candavu. All right, thank you for that. Anybody else? Oh, there was somebody there. Who was it? Oh, ocean fever again. All right, so this will be interesting. I was 5 and 5 on the last one. What am I now? Over. You're not as clear on this one, interestingly enough. So I'm about the same. Is that what you're saying? Okay, thank you for that. And Tonga up there at number 16. Okay, and let's see if I've got Whistler, Gulf Harbour. No sign of Whistler. That's interesting. How about Messatroy? No, nothing there either. What about you, Harry? Have you followed us down here, Malua? Nothing heard. Anybody else with a report from particularly Fiji where the problem was? Okay, thanks, Trevor. And I haven't got you, Margie. Whistler, Gulf Harbour. Well, that's interesting. Nothing from Whistler, but Muscat Cove, just writing that down. Muscat Cove from Willamie. We're a lot clearer here. Okay, thank you very much for that, folks. To think about what to do here. Okay, cheers everybody. Have a good day. We've actually got a lovely day here. The wind has dropped even from what it was before, so we'll enjoy that. Got lots on. Cheers all, and thank you for the reports. This is Gulf Harbour Radio Clear. There's a lady's voice there, and I just haven't picked up who it is. Oh, hello, Lisa. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Fiji weather. Could you repeat that, please, on this one, seeing as it is now clear? And I'll just wake up the boy beside me here and give you the Fiji weather. particularly up where they are, which is Albert Cove. Hang on, Lisa, I shall pass the microphone.
Yeah, good morning. You've got the remnants of the trough going through Fiji, quite a bit of cloud about, as I'm sure you could probably see. Wind-wise, up there around Albert Cove, I would say by around lunchtime today, we're looking at southeast winds. They look to me a good 15 knots, 15 knots today at lunch. Looking toward dinner time, they might pick up. You might see around 20 knots. And by midnight, you'll be asleep. And the same amount of wind, I think about 20 knots. And looking at tomorrow morning, still about 20 knots. So it's got a fair amount of wind to the north in Fiji late today and tomorrow. And virtually the same thing by lunch and dinner tomorrow. All the winds are pretty much southeast, maybe east-southeast, and fresh. Over.
Oh, thanks for that. Boy, that must make a difference then. So, all right, cheers. Boy, I wouldn't mind being up at Albert Cove and doing a bit of a dive. Okay, we're clear. I think I'm going to have to do the hand soon.
Oh.
Thursday. He's down in Brisbane. Oops, I forgot to stop streaming.